Hello everyone, how are you? You might be wondering why I am making this video in this place, in this way, with so many ceremonial things here beside me. And the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I wanted to tell you about this place where I am and what it represents within my mission and my purpose. It is part of my journey. It is part of a story that generally I never tell because it is something very, very intimate, very private. And I have been trying to keep it that way, as something intimate and private all this time, holding it on my own. But then I realized that it is not something that is just mine, but it is something that represents the mission, and it was the way in which I arrived at this place. And that is the story I want to tell you. I want to tell you how I got here, to this place, why this place is so important to me, what it represents in my mission, and tell you the situation I find myself in with this place. So, if you allow me and have the time, I want to tell you that story in the best way I can. And I want to share with you all the mission that this place implies for me in relation to the future, and make a call to resonate, to know in what way some of you feel that you need to be part of that story and collaborate in making it manifest. So I'm going to start with this story of how I arrived in Portland, Oregon. First of all, for all those who don't know me, you will know that my home is the world, that for me, the planet is a place that it's like going from one continent to another, from one country to another. It's like changing rooms. For me, all my life, the home represented the earth, and it's very related to my own way of living, to my own design. Obviously, I have the moon in Sagittarius, so for me, traveling, moving, is health, is joy, is happiness, is my purpose. And personally also, in my genetics, having a home always represented a trauma for me, for my genes. Obviously, I come from an immigrant family, from Italy to Argentina. And on my father's side, from the Basque country in France. And all my genetics have always had to escape from home, have had to leave home. And something I often don't tell you is that my ancestors, my grandparents, great-grandparents, always denied each other the home. My great-great-grandfather denied the house to my great-grandfather. My great-grandfather denied the house to my grandfather. And when my grandfather died, we found out that the house where we lived and where I was born was not ours. So practically, our own family kicked us out of the house. So I could never consider the house as something sacred, but rather as something that represents possession, deception, and that it's not my place to have, right? It's something that is not mine. In my system, the house theme represents something that doesn't exist. And if I look at my astrological chart, I have nothing in Taurus. It's empty. Everything that is home, everything that is the purpose of anchoring in one place, of having roots, is not in me. For me, My design is to go out into the world, deliver a message, enjoy traveling in each country, carry a mission, a purpose, but not to anchor myself in one place. And all of that obviously build the personality that everyone knows, which is never being at home, always leaving and traveling everywhere. And I always said that the day I truly settle in one place, not permanently, but settle my energy, it won't be a home for me, but a place of creation or a temple where I can access a lot of information, where I can share a lot of things with the world. But it was never in my mind. It was never something that was my purpose. It's not in me, nor is it in me. It's something that I don't want. However, something happened in 2013. In 2013, it was the year I was trying to organize what was the RCN Foundation, trying to start spreading the message of ontocracy, trying to spread the purpose for which I am here on Earth. And there were many messages, indications that I had to do the task of Roma Amor in 2014, start traveling through Europe to carry out the planetary task of turning poison into medicine. And they talked a lot about turning the key of the door, turning the key of the door of the house of Earth, the Earth as a house, as the home of all humanity. They talked to me about returning home, and home is fire. That is what home means. It is a place of fire where people gather. The fire of the earth, the center of the earth, represents the home of all life. And our consciousness, our temples, represent the keys. And so the Vatican was the key to that house, to that home. And when in 2012, on December 21st, 2012, I went to Antarctica and received the message that a new pope would come and the information from the south needed to go north, to turn the key, to open the door of the house, which is the subconscious of the earth, to begin the task of planetary polarity change. A task of changing consciousness through the structures of the subconscious, the religious, the spiritual, the traditions, the initiatory paths, the stories of heroes. All of that is related to the mechanisms of the region of the temples. And the Vatican is precisely constructed like a key. It is the country. The St. Peter's Cathedral, built as the key of the world. And each cathedral, church that is connected to the Vatican, represents keys to the Earth's subconscious. So, in 2012, they told me, open the door of the Earth, turn the key of the Vatican, to be able to open the doors to the subconscious from the southern perspective. Obviously, in 2013, in March 2013, Pope Francis, Bergoglio takes on, as Pope Francis, the role of the Catholic Church. And that was like the beginning of the task of Roma Amor, the beginning of turning the poison into medicine, Roma Amor, and making the entire subconscious change. And this task, this mission, for me represented being able to open the doors of the world, open the doors of the home, and start transforming the internal home, building the inner temple, opening, turning the key of that temple, being able to enter that temple. And the message they always said was, return to the origin, return to the origin. And that was the fundamental key, return to the origin. I then began to plan Roma Amor for the year 2014 by explaining to everyone what ontocracy was, which is returning power to the being. Ontos, being, and kratos, power. So, returning power to the being through time and space, to be able to calibrate the truth within, between philosophy, that is, the heart and the mind. And for that we had to free the crucifixion of time, right? Which had to do with the calendar imposed by Gregory, who was a pope in the Vatican, who changed the calendar. The cycles of the moon were shifted. We stopped following the natural rhythm of the planet and started following a completely created, imposed rhythm. And all this information about returning to the origin was about trying to find the root of all these conflicts, going to the primordial origin of all things, and from there starting in the subconscious to rewrite history through stories, myths, legends, everything that was within us, starting to modify it to pave the way towards something new, towards a transformation from the subconscious to the conscious. At that moment, when I was trying to put together this whole structure, in 2013, I found myself in a place called the Valley of the Moon in San Juan. And my mom calls me, I think I was 26 years old or something like that. I don't remember. My mom calls me and says, a package arrived at the house that I don't understand what it is. And when I go to the house, when I return, I see the package. And it was a package that had arrived, that had come from Portland, Oregon, United States, which said that I had sent it. It was in my name. There were no papers from anyone who might have sent a gift. Nothing. Very strange. I felt it. Maybe someone sent it, and I don't know who it is, because it didn't have any name. It didn't say anything at all. But it was a music CD. It was a CD called The Dark Night of the Soul by a pianist from Chicago. And I listened to it all. And for me, it was like, it was a dark night of the soul. It was reliving a lot of stories of life, of different lives. It was very intense to listen to it, and a very strong feeling of, I have to go to Portland to find out who sent this. But at that moment, I didn't have money. I couldn't go to the United States, nothing. And then I said to the universe, if I have to go to Portland for some reason, which I have never been to in my life, then you take care of it, because I don't have money for that. The following week, I was invited for the first time to a conference in Los Angeles, the Conscious Life Expo, where they gave me they invited me to give a talk, to conduct a workshop, where they paid me an amount that allowed me to go to Portland. And on that trip, when I came to Portland, there were a lot of details that I won't go into all of them, but they were all very magical. There are many details, many stories about how I got here. But when I arrived in Portland, I didn't really know why I was here, what I was doing. I started walking through the streets looking for signs, and my only clue was pianos. Follow pianos. Then many people started to appear with many synchronicities of people I had met in 2012 in China, who introduced me to the sister who lived here in Portland, who then took me to a bar, where right at the next table was the girl we were looking for, to tell me where the pianos I was searching for were. A whole lot, a very large amount of synchronicities. And in that search, my intention was to find out where that CD had come from, who had sent it. So we went to a waterfall in called Mundoma and Mondoma Falls. And when I was there, I started to feel the energy of Aconcagua. I didn't understand why. I said, I feel Mendoza, I feel Aconcagua. And suddenly I put my hand in my pocket and I had a stone from Mendoza, from Aconcagua, and I placed it in the waterfall. I left it there. And at that moment I felt the connection with a being who always spoke to me, who was the first to talk to me about ontocracy in Aconcagua, who told me, I work for the children of the future, for those who are yet to be born and who don't, and that basically you are here to build a reality for them. And this being spoke to me about ontocracy for the first time, and I felt it again in this place, in World of Mind Flows. And I had to go to the airport. Well, I was already leaving. I didn't know why. I had come here. I didn't understand. I couldn't find anything about a CD. Who had brought it? Who had sent it? Nothing. And suddenly I remember that in the letter, in the package that I had bought, as if I had bought it, but in reality, I didn't have a credit or debit card, nothing. When I arrived I was returning to the airport, and on that way to the airport, we passed by a place called CD Baby. And at that moment, I remembered that it said the package had been sent through Airport Street. And of course, it was the street of the airport. And the CD company was there. It was called CD Baby. When I arrived, we stopped, I entered the place. Show them and say, this was sent by you to Argentina. And they tell me, they check the record and say, yes, it was sent from here. But how strange, they tell me. There is no record of who bought it, nor who sent it. There is no payment record. There's nothing. The only thing I know is that it was sent to Argentina. And at that moment, the feeling was, did I send it myself in the future? Did I send myself something to Argentina in the future? It was very strange. But the amazing part was afterward, when upon leaving, I realized it was Baby, the baby. And the funny thing is that now we work with that company. All the music that's on Spotify, the meditations, everything we do on Spotify is managed with CD Baby. And this, when I leave, I realize it had something to do with my son, with the future, with my future son, with the one I always talk about in certain stories and that I have felt since I was 9 years old. And when I was when I was at the airport, they told me there was overbooking, so I couldn't get on the plane. They gifted me money, I don't know why. They gave me money and told me, you're going to have to stay in a hotel. They gave me the hotel and said, you're going to have to fly tomorrow. And just that night was Valentine's Day, February 14th. And so there was a bar in Chinatown where there were pianos and there was a duet, a piano duet, a romantic dinner and so on. I went, obviously, without anything romantic. But when I enter the place, I feel the presence of my son, Lucas, who hasn't been born yet. He's in the future. My son, Lucas, who tells me it's from here, from this place, where you will be able to weave everything together, where you will create all the projects, for the future. And one of those projects is me. It's from this place where you will be able to do it, but you won't be able to. Don't come until you are 35 years old. I mean, there were almost 10 years left, 8, 9 years, until I turned 35. So I said, okay, perfect. I left and obviously didn't return until I was 35. Obviously, a lot of things happened in between. Many stories like everything about Egypt, right? I was living in Egypt, and at that time I got into a relationship, and I said, I'm a year away from, supposedly I was supposed to have a child. And well, I think I have to do it, but I don't know how. He told me, I'm going to help you. I'll support you in this. And I asked a friend if she could also help me have a child, which was part of the mission project that I was asked to anchor. Well, in the end, we said, all right, perfect. Let's move forward with this. But I said, before moving forward with all this, I need to know why. I have to come to Portland. So, after everything that happened with Egypt, the I am, all that, I came to the United States, and I told myself again, return to the origin, return to the origin. And then, when I entered Oregon, I realized Oregon, or Aijin, origin, return to the origin. So, I positioned myself in Oregon, and when I arrived in Portland, the land of ports, I realized that the people here are called the Rosarians. Precisely the city next to where I was born, right? I mean, Venado Tuerto in Argentina is next to Rosario, the Rosarians. Here in Portland, they are called the Rosarians. The Rosarians because of Portland's roses. There's a whole story with that. And then I see a map of Portland, and I see that the map is a hand pointing towards the coast, towards a place called Cannon Beach. I go to Cannon Beach, and in that place, I feel a very, very strong, very important anchoring, which tells me that here, I would receive all the information about what I had to do in my mission from now on. Okay, perfect, great. I didn't quite understand what it referred to. And when I returned to Portland, I go back to the place with the pianos. I said, I want to go to the place with the pianos. And when I arrive at the place with the pianos, it no longer existed. Now it was a place called the House of Buddha. Very strange. Opaline, opal is the mother stone, which is only found in Oregon, Ethiopia, and Australia. Those are the only places where that type of opal exists. It's called that, opaline, like the opal. And Buddha House, the House of Buddha, and it was a place of music, but with all the flags of Om Mani Padme Hum from Tibet. Very strange. I thought, it changed. There was a frequency change. And this was in Anaheim, October 31st of 2023, I think. And so, well, it was all very symbolic. Of 2022, October 31, 2022, before 11/11 in Argentina. So there was this, I go to this place, I realize about the opal, about what this place represented. Now, that frequency changed, and suddenly I start to feel very sad, an overwhelming sadness, like I didn't feel anything. I couldn't connect with anything. And I said, look, let's go. We were leaving Portland, and suddenly I stop in the middle of the road. For some reason, I pulled over to the side of the road and started looking. On a map for a happy place, I was searching happy. And suddenly I find a place that was called, right next to where I was, it was called Happy Valley, Valle Feliz. So I said, if I feel so sad, I have to go to Happy Valley. So I went to Happy Valley. And suddenly I went and found a waterfall called the Hidden Waterfall. When I sit there in front of the hidden waterfall, my future son appears again and tells me, you are very close. This is where you need to be. And in the following 2 days, and I say, I don't have money to buy a house. I can't live in the United States. And clearly, what he is asking me is to anchor his energy, to anchor a project. But I don't understand what he means by this. Well, the thing is that my friend opens the computer, and on a page where he bought his house, the first thing that appears is this place where I am now. And when I see it, I said, that's the house. That's what my son told me. That's the temple. That's the place. And it was extremely expensive. I mean, impossible for me to, nothing. I mean, impossible. No, I only had money to be able to fly from one place to another, but not to settle down, especially not in a country where I didn't want to live. I never wanted to live in the United States. I didn't want to be here. I always wanted to be in Europe, in Scotland, or in Italy, or in Spain, but not here. But my son, my guides, my higher self kept telling me, you have to be here. Well, I find this house, and I said, if it's meant to be, the universe will make it happen. The universe will give me that house, that temple, for my projects. So I started sending emails to different people I barely knew from the United States, telling them this whole story, everything I'm telling you now. This happened to me since I was 9 years old. My son tells me this, that, and the other. And this house is the place where, for some reason, they say, I will start to create everything I need to do, and that I need to be anchored here for some reason. And so, I left it at that, and went back. I returned to Argentina. And I went to Ushuaia. And while I was in Ushuaia on a boat, heading towards Cape Horn at the end of South America, I received an email from a person. I mean, the only signal I got from Ushuaia on the boat, I received an email from a person, very close, whom I appreciate a lot, who told me, I bought a house, now you can use it, and you will pay me back over time. I mean, you can start paying me the payment for the house, and someday, when you finish paying it off, when you finish paying the mortgage that was put in their name, the house will be yours. Imagine the madness that hit me at that moment, because I said, and how do I pay for a house that I can't live in? I mean, how do I pay for a house that I can't live in? I can't be in the United States. I didn't have a visa. No, I didn't work here. I had absolutely no contacts in the United States. I mean, the only thing I had done in the United States was a series on Gaia and nothing else. And I left. Because I actually ended up filming the series on Gaia in France, in Argentina, in different places, but not here. I was like trapped in the situation of the universe just gave me the place without me having made any effort. What do I do now? I mean, I was very desperate. So, I start looking for the ways to be able to do it. I start making the economic strategy of what I could do to sustain that temple which I didn't know what it was for, that house which I didn't know what it was for. And then I went back to the United States. And when I returned to the United States, the day before in April, the end of April, the day before coming to the house, entering the house for the first time, because I bought the house without having seen it. And neither do I. I mean, well, it was a cosmic madness. That made no sense. And then, the day before coming to the house, I separate from my partner. He returns to Argentina. I stay in the United States. He takes my suitcases because he had to take them for his clothes. I stay with just one backpack. And the same day, my friend calls me and says, I can't be the mother I can't bear your child. The same day. So, I arrived here in Portland with a backpack. With nothing. I didn't have a debit card, I didn't have a credit card, I couldn't rent a car. So I had to take a taxi to this place that's on a hill. So, no, I had never been here. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was like. I arrive. The real estate agent opens the door for me and starts showing me around a huge, gigantic house, which I had no idea was so big. Unfurnished, completely empty. And I remember standing by one of the windows and starting to panic. I started to feel a great desperation because I said, what am I doing? I don't know what it means to have a house. I don't know what it means to take care of a house. I don't know why I'm here. I don't want to be in a house. I like to travel. Why am I here? They started talking to me about paying taxes, about paying I don't know what, about the street, about things I don't understand, things I don't understand about money, not even in Argentina. I don't understand anything. And I didn't pay attention. I didn't pay attention to absolutely anything. I just stood there petrified, looking outside. And in that instant, while the lady was talking to me, I look outside and suddenly a hummingbird comes from the forest, positions itself in front of me on the other side of the glass, and taps, tap, tap on my face. And when it does that, it does it twice. And I said, okay, it's all good. I tell the lady, it's all good. And the lady says to me, what just happened? What is that? I tell her, it's all good. The spirits are telling me that I need to be here. And then I didn't pay attention to anything she said, but the lady was worried because I didn't have money. I didn't know where there was a supermarket. I had nothing. So, poor thing. She took me, she rented a car for me. She asked me, "Where are your things? The move?" And I tell her, "It's just that I don't have anything. I have a backpack." No, it didn't make any sense. Absolutely nothing. I only had a backpack. And and then she took me. She got me with her card, Costco card, from a supermarket so I could buy food. Well, she did all the paperwork for me to have the card during those days. And there was nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I slept for 3 days. I slept next to this fire with a knife in my hand. And the point of sleeping with a knife in my hand was because, watching a lot of American movies, right? Big houses, forest around, there's always some psychopath. So I don't know why I got into the paranoia of, I can't go to any room, I have to stay with the knife in my hand. And so I was sleeping here, in front of the fire with all the lights on, with a knife in my hand. Because I heard noises, but apparently it was a squirrel. It wasn't a person trying to break into the house. The thing is, who do I call at that moment? To Max. Max, to give you some context, for those who don't know me, Max, I've always remembered who Max was since I was little. My husband, 12,000 years ago in Egypt. And with whom I knew I had to carry out my entire plan in this life, to do a lot of things in all the projects of ontocracy, of consciousness and so on. I had to do it with him, but he was in another process. No, we weren't doing anything together. He was in his life working on his things. And those days, I called him and said, I said to him, I need your help because I don't know what to do. I mean, no, I feel like I'm alone here, that I don't know why I'm here, and I don't know why I have to ask you for help. And he said to me, well, I just quit my job and I don't know what I'm going to do. He said, so I have all the time in the world. I'll come tomorrow. And so from Italy, he came here, and in those days, we rented another car, this time with his card. We went to buy certain things for the kitchen, to eat, you know. And we started to plan what we had to do, what I felt about why I was here. And the first thing we did together was to go and open a company, which was Yo Soy LLC. We opened it together and started planning all the things that would come from now on through that company and through a foundation that we set up here. But neither of us could stay here for more than 3 months. We were only here as tourists, so our time to leave was approaching. And, well, we started to develop the entire strategy and how we were going to pay for this. And suddenly we started living in this house. Only 1 month, a month and a half, a year, setting up the entire strategy, everything we had to do in this place. And suddenly being here, every time we came to the United States and set up the office and recorded things and so on, we started to meet a lot of people who began to help us with bigger projects, to connect us with people from technology, film, Hollywood, music. Suddenly, being in this house, all the contacts from a lot of people started coming in, which began to take my project to a completely different level. Which is why, in many cases, I am silent, I don't share, because I am working with many people who are involved in very big matters. And obviously I can't talk about them. or about that. But since I've been in this house, they all started to appear from, well, very, very important. And it stopped being me doing initiatory journeys in general or a series or whatever to make videos on YouTube. And I started to disappear much more, precisely because since I've been in this house, many people started to appear who can impact many projects on a large scale, but I have to keep working with them in silence. And well, a few months later, we were out of the United States, but we started doing the math and said, we can't stay here. I mean, we are trying to build something in the United States when we can't be in the United States. So we leave and decide to go. So I grabbed all the papers. I was going to take them to the person who is the owner of the house, the real owner of the house. This is not my house. I was going to take all the papers to him and say, sell it, do whatever you want. We can't be here. We can't spend so much money maintaining a space where we can hardly be. And on the way to give this to him, I made yes, and a month, and I say, no, I can't live in the United States. So I'm returning to the headquarters of everything I'm creating. I'm returning because I can't do anything here. I had the work visa, and we started working together. We started working in meetings, in projects, in filming, in a lot of things. Suddenly, I could be here. I could work and everything else, and stay many more months. But obviously, I always travel. So it wasn't in my nature to have a home or to be in one place. And yet, I trusted the universe because on the same day I was going to leave this place, they gave me the option to be able to stay in the place. So, very easy. So it was, okay, perfect. All right, I can't leave the house. Amidst this whole situation, there was panic outside again. I started to feel panic. I'm here again. What am I going to do? I have to go back home. I have to go back to Venado Tuerto. Oh, I have to go to Venado. Venado is what we call my city, obviously. Go back to Venado? Well, in English, obviously it's dear. Yeah, I have to go back to Venado. And I was out there in panic because the universe kept holding me here in this place. Right? And I just wanted to leave. Yeah. And then I said, no, I'm going back home. I'm going back to Venado. The hummingbird appears again. It appears in front of me very quickly. It stops, looks at me, and goes into the forest. And I said, well, I have to follow it. I went into the forest, crossed the forest, following the hummingbird, sat under a tree, grounded myself, and said, perfect. I'm in the energy of this place for some reason, but I'm going to leave here. I have to go back to Venado, to my home. And when I left the forest and came here, suddenly, in the garden, in the backyard, there were 9 deer, and I had to walk through them to enter the house. At that moment I said, all right. In other words, there's a great symbolism of you're already home, or you're in Venado. And, well, it was very symbolic. And from that moment, yes, from that moment I began to trust that we had to be here. And one of those days when we could already be here, when we could work here in the United States, in Oregon, yes, I started receiving information about a code in a book, about a specific code in a book, the Bible, in another sacred book, in the book of the dead of Buddhism. And we started thinking about it with Max. And we said, we need to go to a bookstore. What is the largest bookstore, right? We talked about Alexandria, right? Of the lost knowledge of Alexandria. And suddenly we realized that the largest bookstore in the world, not the library, the largest bookstore in the world is here in Portland, and that there's another one in New York, Powell's. So we went there, got lost among all the shelves of the Library of Alexandria. Yeah, and let intuition guide us from one book to another, from one book to another. And we bought 33 books, which are these 33 books here that I haven't read any of. But they are all the books that we bought that day. And I said, I feel like I have to do something with this. So I used all the books in this very space where we are now. I used all the books to create a portal. I sat in the middle and accessed the information. And it was the first time in my life that I accessed so much information, so much data from the plan, in a way that I had never been able to access before. And the message was as follows. Suddenly, you can be anywhere. You just have to want it. I was no longer channeling like other times. Something happened that had never happened to me before. I wasn't channeling other beings, masters, but literally my higher self, Gan, that presence that was on another plane, and that speaks with me internally, for the first time fully entered my body. I felt it in every cell of my body. And it said to me, here, in this place, I become the weaver. The weaver. I am the weaver. And it began to tell me the whole story and the entire plan of all the people we need to meet, all the information about things that will take me years to try to explain. And it's not the time now, but I will be doing it because we are going to one of the projects I have in this place is to record the weaver explaining these stories precisely in this place. My idea is to create that portal and record that information for everyone and then explain, make a podcast or something in this space and explain to everyone what what the weaver explains. That's why I'm going to leave it for another time. But suddenly it started giving me the whole plan of what I have to do in the coming years. And what it explained to me is that for me, this place is like my pyramid. There's something you can't see here on the camera, but later I'll try to show you. That precisely in this space, there is a lamp with 12 pyramid-shaped lights. I didn't put it there. It was here, as if it were a crown. And over there, a clock of the same size that doesn't work. It's broken. And suddenly, he started showing me that all the spaces represent something for me, for these, for the ceremonies that allow him to descend. And he started talking to me about all the plans and all the things I have to do with the people who will appear in my life to be able to fulfill the mission. And that's one of the things the mission implies, is that this is not a house, it's a temple. And that this temple is for me to be able to open that space to download all the information. It told me that this is like my pyramid, and I asked, and why Portland, Oregon? Why not Egypt, right? Why not Ushuaia? Why not another place? And then it made me sit in a position facing there, in a position facing the fire, and made me observe. With one eye, I saw Argentina, and with the other eye, I saw Egypt. And suddenly, it shows me that between Oregon and Argentina, there are 12,000 kilometers of distance. Between Oregon and Egypt, 12,000 kilometers of distance. And between Argentina and Egypt, 12,000 kilometers of distance. 12, 12, forming a triangle. And then it tells me Argentina is Aurum. Sorry, Argentina is Argentum, silver. Egypt is Aurum, gold. Between gold and silver is electrum. Electrum is the chemical element that combines sun and moon, gold and silver, to create the rainbow bridge. It is the third eye that allows observing everything at the same distance. It is the Trinity. Then it tells me one is the Fibonacci spiral and the other is the Lucas spiral. And there I understood what Lucas is. Luca, the name, Luca. And the interesting thing was that when I was in the yard, my neighbor started calling his son Lucas, Lucas. Strange for an American to call him Lucas, with an S at the end. But the symbolism of Lucas is a spiral, which is used to encrypt codes, and that matches with Fibonacci. When the two are combined, they neutralize towards the center and reach the origin, Oregon, to something called last, universal, common, ancestry, Luca, which is the first cell that gave rise to the three original cells that will later give rise to all branches of life, plants, bacteria, and animals. Suddenly it shows me why origin, why go towards the origin to recover the information, heal all the stories that are written in all the ancient books, all the ancestral knowledge, download that information, and do it from this point where I can observe Aurum and Argentum, where I am neither in silver nor in gold, and I can make a constant bridge, observing what happens in those two places that are my mission. My mission is those two places, Argentina and Egypt. But they tell me from here is where you can triangulate to understand what the project is. When I saw all that, they also told me Oregon is the place where the largest living organism in the world is, which is a fungus. I think it's, I don't know, like 11 hectares of a single living being. It is the largest living being in the world, and it is here in the center, in the heart of Oregon. And they told me, the fungi of this territory are the ones calling you. Why? Because fungi are the mycelium, the neural network of the planet through which plants, bacteria, and animals communicate. Everyone communicates through the mycelium network in the earth. And the golden, it's called the golden mushroom. Golden, it's here. It's in Oregon. And it was like the golden egg. The golden egg. Like the largest living being, where all the information of all the planet's mycelium is. And do you remember that I talked about the Mendoza stone? Well, all the mountain ranges from California to Oregon are called the Mendocino. And I felt that same connection. All the sequoias, all the largest trees in the world, connecting with the Mendocino, with the Sierra of Mendoza, as if it were the Mendoza of the north. And that's why they were sending me to the Mendoza, from Mendoza of the south to Mendoza of the north. Well, a lot of information, many facts, so many things. The thing is that when I start receiving all the information about everything I have to do, the plan, correcting the time is broken, we need to calibrate the North Pole, use all the quantum machinery, bring this person, and suddenly those people start to appear. It was very, very crazy. Lately, since I've been in this house, millions of things have started happening that make no sense. It's like, wow, touching threads very, very close to great powers to make changes in consciousness. But obviously, it's difficult to maintain this house. So, once again, I decided that I was going to leave. And when I decided that I was going to leave, suddenly, a bunch of problems get solved, which allow me to keep staying. The house always. Every time I say I'm leaving, a new solution appears. But what I realized is that I was trying to make an effort to see how I can maintain this, to see how I can pay for it. And what I realized recently is that I don't have to do that. It's that this house is not mine. It's about the mission. It's about the purpose. Therefore, it doesn't have to be mine. It should belong to a foundation so that we can create, build, develop the ideas, make all the content, the material for spreading the entire message, create all the messages of the Weaver from here. As he told me, take this space as a temple. Well, all that information was what was happening. It's what is happening to me at this moment. I have to be here for that. And at the beginning of this year, in January, I went to Antarctica because part of the mission was to go to Antarctica. And I knew I had to go south, but I didn't know how far south. And suddenly everything aligned so that I could be there. In fact, I didn't know they were going to go, that we had to go to Antarctica, and they invited me 2 days before. And when I was in Antarctica, the Weaver, Gan, tells me, again, remember to be in Oregon, anchor in Oregon. And when I was returning from Antarctica, I received an email from the homeowner telling me that due to personal reasons, he can no longer continue paying the bank loan and he has to sell the house. And that he was giving me 4 months to resolve the issue, to see if someone else wanted to take over it or buy it or donate it or whatever, that he is open to any option. Because what he wants most is to help me. But now he has to take care of himself for other reasons, and so he can no longer take charge of helping me with that issue. And this month, in May, now the house is going up for sale. So in a month, I probably have to leave the house. I have to leave here. And probably leave the United States. Leaving here, and I don't know where I'm going. I don't know if to Egypt is where I'm going. I know I have to anchor myself here in some way. So even if it's a tree, I'm going to plant it somewhere. I know I have to be here, that I have to anchor my energy structurally in Oregon. But well, next month, this month of May, I have to leave. I have to leave the house. I have to leave the temple and all the things they told me I have to do here. I won't be able to do them here. I don't know where I'm going to do them. I don't know how it's going to be, but I won't be able to do them here. And in the last 2 months, I've been going through a lot of personal processes of letting go. Because one of the things that was happening to me was, I'm failing my son. I'm failing my higher self. I don't know how to solve an issue I don't understand, because I don't understand money. So no, I don't know how to solve it. Well, I'm opening up with complete sincerity to everyone, and I'll explain why. Because this last month, I had to let go of that frustration. I had to realize that I did everything I could, and I do everything I can to sustain this space. But it's not in me to have a space like this. It's not something of mine. It's not something that attracts me. Like I said, I don't want to have a house. No, I never wanted to have a house. I always wanted to travel. I always wanted to have a motorhome, not a house. And I'm feeling that I'm carrying a responsibility that doesn't belong to me. Because if this is for the mission, for some reason that I still don't fully understand, then the mission has to bring it and take care of it. Therefore, like this month, I let go and was about to leave. I already said, all right, I'm going to leave this house. And if the universe feels that this house is still part of the mission, of the purpose, it will bring it back. So, I was thinking, I think the best option is to share the story with the network. And maybe someone among all of you will say, I will take care of the house and I will buy it, or I will donate it, or I will keep it for myself until Matías can manage it on his own. I don't know. There could be so many options that I'm not seeing, because it's just me with my 2 eyes. And I always trust that the universe arranges things in the best way. And I've already let go of the house. I've already let go of this space. I have no interest in staying here. I have no interest in trying to keep the house, because it's not what I want. I want to clarify again, it's not what I want. I want to be free. The last thing I want is to have such a big anchor as this. No. So, for that very reason, this month I went through all that frustration of, I'm failing with my son, I'm failing with the plan. And I realized, why am I failing if I'm fulfilling everything I have to do? I simply cannot be unhappy supporting something that doesn't make me happy. It makes me happy to fulfill the mission in this space, but not to support this space. And there are other people who might be happy supporting that space. So I've already tried, through many friends, many people. We've already done many projects, many possibilities to see how to stay, how to remain with this space, to be able to support this mission. And everything has been very difficult. So I felt that just like when I sent the email to people I didn't know, I said, I'm going to make a video telling the story to people I don't know. And maybe someone knows, someone who has an idea and says, I know how to solve that issue. And I said, well, maybe I'll tell this story and include an email where people can say, I know how to help, or I know who can help, and they can write to us and say, I'll take care of this part of the mission while Matías takes care of the other. And maybe the universe will find a solution through me sharing this story, which I haven't shared much because I don't like to burden others with responsibilities. In other words, I always carried them myself, and I try to do as much as I can until the end. But well, in 2 weeks from now, from when you are watching this video, on the 1st of May, until the 15th of May, around the 15th of May, the house will be put up for sale. And from then on, I won't be able to control anything. From then on, if someone appears and says, yes, I want to buy it, I won't be able to make any decisions. Until the 15th of May, I can still offer a plan to the owner to resolve the matter. So, I wanted to share this story with you. And this story is very personal to me. And I am opening up a lot to share very private, personal things, because I feel that my life, besides being my life, has always been a kind of reflection, because I learned this in the I am. When I shared all my emotions, my sorrows, my pains, everything. One of the things I noticed the most is that when I share from a place of my vulnerability and my sincerity, I help many more people than when I try to explain cosmic things. So it seemed to be honest at this stage. The last thing I would do is ask for financial resources to be able to support a house. Is a story that shows why I came to this place, why this place is so important. Obviously, the codes in this house are very important, but I can't share them because otherwise I would be giving away very private information. Well, I also want to protect the space, right? But I do feel that this story doesn't just belong to me, but it's a reflection for many. And for that reason, there might be someone out there on the network who resonates with this and says, yes, I am one of those people who can help ensure this space continues to serve the mission. And there are many ways in which this can be resolved. Obviously, this space can be resolved. But whatever the outcome, I'm happy, I'm fine. I've already gone through the whole process of letting go of the weight and responsibility. When they tell me, you have to do this, I try until the end to do it, and and my Capricorn rising tells me you weren't enough, you couldn't achieve it, you're not up to the task. And well, I realized that I have to set that aside and that there are other ways to achieve it. As I said, this house, it's impossible for me to have this house. It's impossible from a logical standpoint, from a material standpoint, from a real standpoint. It's impossible for me to be in this house. Clearly, it's magic. Clearly, it's alchemy. It's part of the plan, because otherwise I wouldn't be here at all. So that's also why I'm open to the plan changing. I can move to another place. I have no problem with that. But before doing that, in fact, I'm already doing it, I'm already moving, I'm thinking about where to go and everything. But before doing this, I wanted to share the story with you, because you never know. Maybe in these 15 days, it gets resolved. It doesn't get resolved. The information in this space gets rearranged in a magical way, just like it came to me, right? Or I came to it. So, well, that's what I wanted to share with everyone. This is the story of why this place and all the things we want to build here, right? All the information we want to make this space a sacred place where we can broadcast ceremonies, where we can share all the data and information from the Weaver, who can speak directly to you, who can share a lot of data and plans. And well, the Weaver can answer your questions directly, not me. Make podcasts, music, so many things we were planning to do here. And very important meetings as well. But well, this month I have to leave here, so it won't be like that. But maybe it will be sorted out for some reason. So I share it with everyone because we are all one, and maybe someone feels that they are part of this too. So that's it, nothing and everything. That's the story. And I wanted to put all the information together of everything I was activating and working on in this space, with all the sacred books, with all the ancient books, with all the symbols of power that I have in this space to recreate this story and rewrite the story of the subconscious, and turn the key of the house. So that's exactly where I'm going, to the Vatican. I went to the Vatican when I opened the doors of Portland, Oregon for the first time. Coming here made me open the doors of the Vatican when we did Roma Amor. And I feel that it is very symbolic that those 15 days during which the issue of this house, this temple, is supposedly resolved, are part of the conclave to elect the new Pope. And I promised a long time ago that during that conclave, when the frequency of the key to the entire planetary subconscious was changed again, and the key to the Earth house was turned, I would be there in the Vatican. So that's why, even though I should be here anchoring in this space, in this temple, my decision was to fulfill that promise of going to the Vatican. And so, while this house is being resolved, I will be fulfilling my mission in anchoring that new key in the Vatican. So, to enjoy the adventure of this mission And thank you all for listening to my story. Thank you all for surely thinking about how to help resolve this. And thanks to those who will get in touch and tell us, I have a solution, I have a way. We are open to receiving any kind of proposal. Because as I said, I am open to leaving, staying, doing whatever. So there is no need in this. It's simply a sharing of, if we have to keep doing it together, we will. So thank you for being there. Thank you for listening to me. And see you from the Vatican.